Hey everyone. Welcome back to Six Path Weeb, your go-to spot for all things anime. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Today, we're diving into part 2 of our fanfic series, What If Naruko Discovered a Hidden Power in Konoha? Quick disclaimer, the content on this channel is purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any of the anime footage featured here, all rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Alright, let's jump right into it. Flashback continued somewhere in the peaceful lands of Whirlpool Country. A young girl appeared out of nowhere, finding herself standing in the middle of a lake. Oh no, how am I supposed to get back home? She wondered. But then Naruko realized something surprising. She wasn't even using chakra on her feet, yet she was still standing on the water. Curious, she bent down and figured out that someone, most likely her father Minato, had placed a strong genjutsu here. Walking carefully toward the shore, Naruko looked around. She found herself in a barren land, one that seemed to have lost its former beauty many years ago. If my father is Minato Namikaze and my mother is Kushina Uzumaki, then the Uzumaki clan's estate must be close by, Naruko thought, scanning the area. However, no signs of life could be found, only silence surrounded her. As Naruko continued to explore, lost in thought, she arrived at the edge of a cliff. Below her lay the ruins of a village. With a determined heart, she made her way down and wandered through the remains until she found the ruins of a large compound. Dust covered the gates, untouched for many years. Naruko gently pushed open the doors, and with a loud creak, they fell to the ground. Coughing slightly from the dust in the air, Naruko carefully stepped inside. She searched through the remains but found little. Most things had either been taken or destroyed, and not even a single picture remained. Burnt bookcases lined the walls, and torn pages littered the floor. Naruko picked up a page, but the writing had faded too much to read clearly. Determined not to give up, Naruko continued deeper inside until something caught her attention, a wall inscribed with detailed sealing marks. It was clear that others had once tried to break through but had failed, thanks to the strength of the seals. Getting used to the routine, Naruko bit her finger gently and pressed her chakra-infused hand against the seal. It glowed brightly, but instead of the wall opening or revealing a secret passage, a figure appeared before her, a man with intricate markings covering his body. Naruko stared at him in amazement. Looking closely, she realized the markings were advanced seals, so complex that she couldn't even guess their purpose. As the dust settled, the man smiled kindly and spoke. "Ah, who has awakened me from my long dreams? Has peace finally returned to the world?" "There is no war right now," Naruko said, looking up at him. The man nodded thoughtfully, pondering what might have happened during his rest. "You must be an Uzumaki. Only someone with Uzumaki blood could have awakened me." "Wait, so you're part of the Uzumaki clan too?" asked Naruko, astonished to see a connection to her family's past. "Yes, I am, or was. I am not truly alive anymore. I am a creation, a clone formed through special sealing techniques, and my life force will only last about 6 months. I sense that you are the last of the Uzumaki clan," the man explained. "Although the great Uzumaki library was destroyed, I have memorized most of its knowledge. Stay here, young one. I will train you until my time runs out." "But I wasn't planning to stay for that long," said Naruko, starting to worry. "If you stay, I promise you will grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. If you leave now, you may miss an opportunity to achieve greatness. I will teach you everything I know about seals and the art of the shinobi," the man said, his voice filled with encouragement. Naruko considered his words carefully. In the end, she accepted his offer, realizing that no one had ever shown her such care or offered such a chance to grow. "I'll stay," she said with a determined nod. "Good," the man said with a smile. 6 months passed swiftly. One day, the man approached Naruko. "Naruko, you have learned faster than I ever imagined. You have grown so much for someone so young. Soon, I must rest forever, but before I do, I want to enjoy one last view of the ocean. Take the scrolls I have prepared for you, they will guide you even after I am gone." Naruko, tears welling up in her eyes, ran up and hugged him tightly. "Thank you. I'll always remember you and everything you taught me," she whispered. She stepped back and watched as the kind figure walked toward the ocean, slowly fading into the light. Flashback end. "And that's my story, Gigi," Naruko exclaimed brightly. Hiruzen blinked in surprise. "You skipped 6 months of details," he said, a bit overwhelmed. "Gigi, if I told you everything, we'd be here for 6 months too," Naruko replied playfully. Hiruzen chuckled softly, deciding to respect her privacy for now. Meanwhile, at the Uchiha clan compound. Mother, why do you dislike Naruko? I've never even met her, but she must have done something really bad, right? Kyori asked her mother, gazing up at her with wide, curious eyes. Kyori, some questions are best left alone. Sometimes, knowing too much can bring unnecessary worry, her mother replied gently. But at the academy, they taught us to always seek the truth, said Kyori earnestly. It has been a long day. Please help with dinner or go rest, her mother said with a small smile. Okay, Mom. I'll just rest in my room, Kyori said, pretending not to mind. Inside, Mikado thought to herself. Uzumaki Naruko. Daughter of Kushina. And likely the daughter of Minato too. Why did Minato choose Kushina over me? But, thanks to Fugaku, I found happiness again. Mikado sighed and moved to call Sasuke in for dinner. Meanwhile, Kyori, pretending to be asleep, slipped out of her room through the window and made her way into the village. Despite her young age, she navigated through Konoha with confidence. People around her nodded respectfully, recognizing her Uchiha heritage. They respect me because of my clan, not because of anything I've done yet, Kyori thought. One day, I want to earn my place through my own achievements. She made her way to the Hokage Tower. A secretary noticed her and asked, Young lady, where are your parents? What brings you here? I am Kyori Uchiha, she replied politely, and I request a meeting with the Hokage for something important. Before the secretary could respond, Kyori politely knocked and peeked into the Hokage's office. Hello, Hokage-sama. Am I interrupting? She asked sweetly. No, Kyori-chan. Naruko and I were just finishing, Hiruzen replied warmly. Oh, hi Naruko-chan. Kyori greeted with a bright smile. Naruko blushed lightly. Hi, Kyori-chan, she responded shyly. Hiruzen observed them with mild amusement. How wonderful. Naruko is making a friend. So, Kyori, what brings you here? Does your mother know you're here? Asked Hiruzen kindly. No, I sneaked out. I'm supposed to be napping, Kyori admitted honestly. But I have some questions that I couldn't ask anyone else. Hiruzen's expression became more serious. What would you like to know? Why does my mother seem so upset whenever Naruko is mentioned? Kyori asked, frowning. Naruko listened quietly, already guessing the answer. It's because. Hiruzen began, but Naruko gently interrupted. It's because I carry the Kyuubi's chakra within me, Naruko explained softly. The Kyuubi? Kyori asked in confusion. Didn't it disappear years ago? The Kyuubi is a being made of pure chakra and emotion. It could not simply vanish, so it was sealed into a newborn to protect the village, Hiruzen explained. Kyori's eyes widened as she processed the information. But, why Naruko? She asked. Hiruzen smiled gently, though a bit sadly. The Yondaime could never have asked anyone else to make such a sacrifice. Kyori gasped softly. Then, Naruko must be, she whispered. My father is the Yondaime, Naruko said quietly. There's no other explanation. Hiruzen nodded, impressed by Naruko's insight. Kyori-chan, he said, please remember, everything discussed here must stay within these walls. I promise, Hokage-sama, Kyori said sincerely. Do you dislike me now? Asked Naruko. The words slipped out unexpectedly, each one felt heavy as she spoke. Kyori, hearing the question, lifted her gaze toward Naruko, clearly surprised that Naruko would even think to ask something like that. Naruko, I don't dislike you, Kyori replied warmly. You are not the Kyuubi. The stories I heard spoke of the Kyuubi causing chaos and fear throughout the village. She paused thoughtfully, choosing her words with care. I suppose, in a way, you have stirred up a lot of attention among the villagers, but I am certain the Kyuubi would not have done it with such lightheartedness. Really? Naruko asked, her voice soft with disbelief. She had been expecting harsh words like, yes, I do dislike you, or yes, I never want to see you again. Naruko looked deeply into Kyori's eyes, searching for any trace of insincerity. But there was none, only genuine kindness. Naruko wanted to express her gratitude, but the words caught in her throat. It was rare for her to experience such kindness, and it overwhelmed her. Seeing that the conversation had come to a natural pause, and noticing the quiet attention of the room upon her, Naruko stood up. Curious eyes followed her as she walked. Naruko. Kyori began to speak but stopped herself halfway. Without another word, Naruko used the Shunshine technique, vanishing into the distance with a determined spirit, giving the impression that nothing troubled her. Hiruzen watched the young girl disappear with another thoughtful sigh. Perhaps he was sighing too much these days. It was becoming clear that he might need help carrying the responsibilities of his position. Meanwhile, Kyoto continued to stare at the spot where Naruko had just stood. She's only 8 and can already perform the Shunshin? Yes, Hiruzen responded with a small smile. Though I wish she would focus on learning a wider range of techniques instead of using that one at every opportunity. The next morning, Naruko woke up in her cozy bed just like any other day. However, this morning felt different. Part of her was excited about the new day ahead, but another part of her felt nervous about meeting a group of new peers she had never encountered before. Would they laugh and tease her? Or would they accept her for who she truly was, beyond the stories and rumors? Determined to make a positive impression, Naruko chose her outfit carefully. She unsealed a special scroll containing clothes from the Whirlpool country. She picked a sleek black outfit adorned with white flame patterns along the edges. Wanting to look confident and prepared, she also took her katana, gently securing it onto her back. Glancing at the clock, Naruko's eyes widened. Oh no, it's already 9:30. She thought. Without wasting another moment, Naruko quickly used the Shunshin technique again, heading straight for Konoha's Ninja Arts Academy, her heart filled with hope for the day ahead. Naruko made her way to her assigned classroom after checking in at the front office. Her new instructor, Sensei, was Iruka. Naruko entered the room without knocking and found 30 students staring back at her. An awkward silence filled the room until Iruka kindly spoke up. Class, we have a new student joining us today, Naruko Uzumaki, he said, glancing at Naruko for confirmation. Naruko nodded cheerfully. Hi everyone. I'm Naruko. It's great to meet you all. Now, about attendance, Iruka continued. Class begins promptly at 9 o'clock. I expect everyone to be on time. Since today is the first day, I'll let it pass, but in the future, being late means 30 laps around the school. Only 30 laps? Thought Naruko, amused. Maybe being late wouldn't be so bad. Please find a seat, Naruko, said Iruka, smiling. Naruko scanned the room. She spotted Kyoto, but Kyoto was already seated next to someone, likely her sibling. After looking around, Naruko noticed the only available seat was beside a girl with pearly eyes. A member of the Hyuga clan. This could be interesting, Naruko thought, taking the seat beside her. Hi, what's your name? Naruko asked, gazing at the ceiling casually. Hinata, the girl stammered, glancing shyly at Naruko before turning her head away with a blush. After listening to Iruka for a few minutes, Naruko, growing a bit restless, turned toward Hinata. Is class always like this? Naruko whispered. Like what? Hinata asked, looking puzzled. Is it always this slow? Naruko clarified, rolling her eyes upward again. Well, I suppose so, Hinata replied. But we really shouldn't be talking during class. Why not? Naruko grinned. It's not like Iruka-sensei has eyes on the back of his head. Naruko. Iruka called out firmly. Would you like to share your conversation with the class? Hinata, lowering her gaze, murmured, maybe he does have eyes on the back of his head. We were just saying how wonderful your story was, sensei, Naruko said brightly. It's not a story, it's history, Iruka corrected her, a slight chuckle in his voice. Oops, Naruko said, scratching the back of her head sheepishly. Please continue. I promise I won't interrupt again. True to her word, Naruko didn't interrupt, because she accidentally dozed off halfway through the lesson. When the bell rang for lunch, Naruko woke up with a jolt, finding Iruka's amused but firm gaze directed at her. Oh no, thought Naruko. Iruka-sensei, look. There's someone at the door. Iruka turned instinctively, but there was no one there. By the time he turned back, Naruko had disappeared. A glance toward the side revealed an open window. Iruka sighed, a small smile playing on his lips. Out in the courtyard, Naruko wandered around, watching the other students. Some played shogi, others practiced friendly sparring. She drifted toward the group that was sparring and noticed Kyoto standing nearby. Hey, Kyoto, Naruko whispered. Do they always spar like this during lunch? Yeah, Kyoto replied. It's fun to watch. Hey, look. It's the new girl, Naruko. One of the students shouted. Want to join in for a friendly match? Naruko laughed lightly. I'm not sure. I just got here today and don't know many techniques. That's okay. The kid laughed. We're just practicing basic moves, no special techniques. Encouraged by Kyoto's nod, Naruko agreed and stepped into the center of the ring. Her opponent looked about her size, with no particular signs of expertise. And begin. Someone from the circle announced. Naruko pointed down and said, "Your shoelaces are untied." Her opponent glanced down instinctively, even though he was wearing sandals, and in that distracted moment, Naruko gently tapped him, sending him stumbling backward onto the soft grass. "Wow! That was quick," someone exclaimed. "Oops, sorry," Naruko said kindly. "I hope you're all right." The other student chuckled good-naturedly. "I'm okay. That was impressive." Before Naruko could say anything else, the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch. That afternoon, Iruka led the class outside for basic training. He introduced various ninja tools, starting with kunai. He carefully explained their purpose and demonstrated a safe and accurate throw. The students watched with amazement as the kunai landed perfectly in the center of the target. Then, Iruka distributed training kunai so everyone could practice. "Be careful," one student called out when Naruko spun her kunai playfully on her finger. "Naruko, please don't play with the kunai," Iruka gently reminded. "They should be handled respectfully." Naruko nodded and stepped up to throw her kunai properly. Her throw landed perfectly in the center of the target. "Excellent work, Naruko," praised Iruka. "Have you practiced before?" "A little," Naruko said modestly. After practice ended and the bell rang again, Kyoto approached Naruko. "Want to go get some ice cream together?" she asked. Naruko smiled warmly. "Sure." The two walked off together, unaware that someone nearby was quietly watching them with curious eyes. 4 years later, graduation exam. "I want to congratulate all of you for making it this far," Iruka announced proudly. "It hasn't been an easy journey, but you've all worked very hard. Before you officially become ninjas of the Hidden Leaf, you must pass one final graduation exam." Naruko completed almost all parts of the exam with flying colors, although she struggled a little with the basic clone technique. During the match portion of the exams, Naruko was paired with Sasuke for a friendly competition. "A girl like you without a strong family background can't possibly challenge someone like me," Sasuke said coolly. "Says the guy who barely has any relatives around either," Naruko replied with a playful smile. Kyoto, standing behind Naruko, lightly tapped her on the head, signaling her to keep things friendly. "Sorry," Naruko chuckled. "I meant, you still have important people who care about you." Hearing that, Sasuke grew irritated and charged forward, even before Iruka could officially start the match. Sasuke aimed a strike toward Naruko's head, but she swiftly dodged it. She responded with a knee towards his middle, but Sasuke caught it and countered with a light push to her side, causing Naruko to lose her balance slightly. Then, with a puff of smoke, it revealed that Naruko had used a substitution technique, skillfully avoiding any real contact. A shadow clone, thought Sasuke, who was very familiar with Naruko and her clones from previous encounters. Acting on pure instinct, Sasuke moved to the right, narrowly dodging a blade that struck the ground, creating a deep mark. "Naruko," shouted Iruka. "No swords. And when did you bring that to school?" "I've always had it with me," said Naruko, causing confusion among many of the students. "Yes, it was always hidden behind my back with an invisible seal attached," she thought. "Well," said Iruka, carefully choosing his words, "no swords allowed in this fight." Naruko didn't respond directly to Iruka. Instead, she turned her attention to Sasuke. "So, do you have any jutsus ready, or will it just be dodge Naruko the whole time?" "Katen, Grand Fireball Jutsu," muttered Sasuke, clearly irritated, as he released a powerful burst of fire. Naruko swiftly dodged it but immediately turned to her sensei. "So he can use strong fire techniques, but I can't even swing my sword? That doesn't seem fair. It's almost like you're favoring him." Iruka sighed, realizing how complicated the situation was becoming. Before he could reply, Naruko spoke again. "It's fine. I'll set my sword aside. We wouldn't want the Uchiha heir getting overwhelmed, would we?" Sasuke clenched his teeth, searching for a clever comeback, but couldn't find one. He knew how skillful Naruko could be with her katana. Naruko carefully strapped her katana back onto her back. "I want to try a new jutsu I developed. After all, after this battle, my journey as a ninja truly begins. Showing the world my new technique is the first step towards my dream." She created a new jutsu? Many people wondered. Is that even possible for an academy student? Could it really be powerful? "Naruko-chan," thought Kyoto. "Don't tell me you've actually mastered that technique." "Naruto-kun," thought Kyoto warmly. Don't tell me you've perfected that jutsu already. Kage Bunshine no Jutsu, cried Naruko with determination. In an instant, 1,000 clones appeared around her. The audience behind Naruko and Sasuke gasped in amazement. Each clone moved independently as if it had its own will. So many, thought Sasuke, astonished. They're all solid clones, too. Her chakra reserves must be incredible. How is this even possible? Humph, said Sasuke, trying to stay composed. Even if you created 1,000 clones, they are still just clones. In the end, it doesn't change the fact that the real strength lies within you alone. Naruko laughed lightly. Even if what you say is true, if I bring them together, they become 100 times stronger. The audience was puzzled by Naruko's words, but they remained respectfully silent, allowing the match to continue without interruption. There's the real Naruko, thought Sasuke, as he noticed only one Naruko speaking. He quickly rushed toward her and landed a punch, only to realize with disappointment that it was just a shadow clone. Guess I'll have to make another, said Naruko cheerfully as the clone disappeared. All the Narukos swiftly performed the seal for the shadow clone jutsu again, creating even more confusion for Sasuke. Another clone appeared, and all the Narukos formed a protective circle around the original. Now it's my turn to show something new, teased Naruko with a playful smile. Fuinjutsu, heavenly armor. One by one, the clones transformed into different shining pieces of armor that flew toward Naruko, wrapping around her and forming a magnificent suit reinforced with chakra. Fuinjutsu, frozen era. She announced. In an instant, Naruko's usual outfit was replaced with a white shirt accented with black and orange stripes. Her pants were designed with matching orange and white patterns, covered with a sleek black layer. At her waist hung a belt where her katana would normally rest. A cape, trimmed with blue flames along the bottom, billowed proudly behind her. The armor seamlessly blended with her new attire, making her look both elegant and strong. What in the world? Thought Iruka from the sidelines, astonished. I've never seen such a technique before. Is this even possible? What did you do, Naruko? Asked Sasuke, feeling a pang of envy as he observed the extraordinary transformation. Regardless, he charged forward, determined to reveal any weaknesses in Naruko's new technique. If her armor is made from clones, Sasuke reasoned, then all I have to do is land a hit, and the armor will fall apart. As Sasuke closed the distance, Naruko didn't evade. Instead, she stood her ground, letting Sasuke's punch connect with her chest. She was pushed back slightly but landed gracefully on her feet. Sasuke stared in disbelief. Naruko appeared completely unharmed, and the armor remained intact. How is your armor still there? It's supposed to be made of clones, he exclaimed. Naruko laughed softly, her bright eyes sparkling. The first technique, heavenly armor, indeed transformed my clones into armor. But as you said, normally, a hit would make them vanish. That's why I used my second Fuinjutsu, frozen era, it stabilized them so they wouldn't disappear with simple contact. By the way, do you like the design? It took me a lot of time to perfect it. Hiyori watched from the side, wide-eyed. She had heard hints about this new technique before the match, but seeing it in action was an entirely different experience. Sasuke frowned. No matter what fancy moves you pull out, they won't match the skill of an elite. At his words, Sasuke's eyes shifted into a deep red hue, the activation of his Sharingan. Wow, your eyes turned red, said Naruko curiously. Is that going to make a difference? It's called the Sharingan, you should take it seriously, shouted Sasuke as he rushed at Naruko again, faster and sharper this time. At first, the match was even. However, with the Sharingan's enhanced perception, Sasuke began to land more blows. Is this all you've got? Taunted Sasuke, trying to provoke her. If that's how you feel, said Naruko with a confident smile. In her right hand, faint chakra began to gather. It started swirling around, forming a glowing, spinning orb, a Rasengan. Sasuke's eyes widened. Even with the Sharingan, he sensed the incredible energy radiating from the technique. Kai, shouted Naruko, releasing the gravity seals that had been limiting her speed. In a flash, she closed the distance between her and Sasuke. Before he could react, Naruko stood before him, Rasengan ready. Sasuke leapt back in an attempt to soften the impact, but the Rasengan struck him squarely in the stomach, sending him tumbling backward several feet. He skidded across the ground but came to a stop without any serious injury, thanks to the careful control Naruko had maintained. Smoke filled the area. When it cleared, it was clear who had claimed victory. Medical teams rushed in to ensure Sasuke was unharmed and in good condition. "Oops, guess I might have used a little too much power," Naruko said sheepishly as she made her way to the tree to retrieve her katana and reapply her gravity seals. Just as Naruko was about to release her armor, the ground nearby suddenly erupted. Two cloaked figures emerged, aiming directly at her. Naruko tried to dodge but was caught by a quick strike to her side and stomach. The mysterious figures then retreated amidst another flurry of smoke. When the smoke faded, Naruko was gone, along with her katana. "Naruko!" called out Kyoto, her voice filled with concern. But there was no response. Naruko had disappeared from sight. Dear YouTube family, that's all for this part. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Thank you for your support. 6 Path Weeb.